Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over.
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He's got three.
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
What up? What up? What up?
Here. Yes, sir.
I've got to tell you, I filled in yesterday. I filled in yesterday for Ricky Hampton, who's a sports writer out of Cleveland, who hosts the show We Got Next on Sports Fluent YouTube with Paul McKeskey. Paul McKeskey played for the Bucks, the Pistons, and the Warriors. The Warriors. Oh, speaking of which, hey, yo, Fluent Jr.
Tony Tone.
Fluent Jr., come here, bro. You have to do me a favor. When you play 2K, you need to get either the Warriors or the Bucks and bring our friend Paul McKeskey off the bench and play and use him.
He's on there?
Yeah, he's on there. He's on there.
He is?
Yeah, he said, yeah. Okay. The more you use him, the more royalty he gets, the more money he can give us.
What's up, nephew?
Yes, sir. He says, what's up, nephew?
Stop. And I get to meet him?
Of course you get to meet him. He actually invited us to his house to swim in his pool. So we got to go to Vegas. And it's so funny when, like, because they do that show together. I watch it, but I've never been a guest on it. And Paul and I, text and, mostly text. Like, we've talked on the phone maybe twice, but we text occasionally. And so we sat down and I was running late at baseball. This, how my life is. It was chaos, right? So I jump in the seat and I'm like, all right, so here's our topics. Hey, let's go. And so you know how we have a little talk right before we go live. Right. We start talking about, me, birds aren't real.
Oh boy.
And he goes, oh yeah, I heard that on Howard Stern. And we start talking about that. And then we had this whole list of topics we were going to talk about. Nope.
You didn't get to none of them.
We talked about how, him being a 7-footer and how they used to measure, like when he was coming into the NBA, when he got drafted, like it was foot that they measured him, and now it's in the shoes, and shoes could go from 1 inch to 3 inches. You never know. Why does Kevin Durant lie about his height? And he goes, Bill Walton. He goes, God rest his soul. He goes, I love Bill Walton. He was an inch. So Paul's 7 foot, and he goes, legit 7 foot barefoot, right? And he goes, and Walton was an inch taller than me. And he goes, yet he would always say, no, I'm 6'11". He goes, I don't want to be a freak.
He will never. Walton will never admit to being a footer. He will never admit to it.
He would never do it. And so then we just started talking about all this stuff, and like, we talked about, he said like, he got to go in and take his sons to watch Team USA practice and play against Team Canada because him and Steve Kerr are buddies, right? Okay. So he, lets them go over there because it was in Vegas. They were practicing, and like they were talking about the team and blah blah blah, and then it took us into a thing about summer league and Bronny James. He goes, the weird thing about Bronny James, 6'1". That dude got a 6'7" wingspan. He's just like, it's just like these are the things where he says like, we made fun a little bit of Yao Ming. He goes, it's not even so much the wingspan. When you're blocking shots, as I said, he goes, I could reach up, and it's like he joked because he's 7 foot. He goes, and I reach up and it's 7 foot, right? And he goes, but like Kevin McHale would reach up and it's like 7'11". Like there's nothing you could do. It's so long. And so it just went down this whole other path, and I just forgot, like why I love when we bring on people, because like you might have an idea of what you want to talk about, but you're going to go off.
There's this rabbit hole that we fall into, and next thing you know, we talk about conspiracy theories.
Oh hell yeah! You know me.
Absolutely.
So I think I'm going to do it. So unfortunately, Ricky's unable to do the show for a couple of weeks. So I was like, okay, so I did it this week, and next week, as you know, I'm going to be in New York. Yeah. So I'm gonna either do it from New York, or I'm gonna tap you and see if you do it. All right, so we got a bunch of stuff. I want to start because I told you this was coming.
Here we go.
I'm gonna start. I told you this was coming.
Here we go.
And you said no, it's not. And I said yes, it is. And you said no, it's not. And I said yes, it is. The PBA in the Philippines, the Filipino Basketball Association, will adopt the 4-point line next season. Now, my good friends, the Harlem Globetrotters, have been using a 4-point line already. But let's admit the Globetrotters are a little gimmicky. They're there for entertainment. Poor Washington Generals. They've won one.
You mean like this right here? Like the 4-point line is gimmicky? But I'm just saying, keep going. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what they said about the 3-point line was gimmicky, and that's why the NBA didn't want it at first. But so when the Globetrotters did it, it was like, okay, cool. But now this league's going to do it. Another league's going to do it. They've already started to mess around with it in other places at certain times. I told you this last year, and you said I was crazy.
You are, Tom. You're nuts.
Am I?
Yes, you are. And the reason why you're nuts is because the reason why the 3-point line was able to translate because it was already connected to the NBA. It was with the ABA. It was a rival league, and the players from the ABA came over to the NBA. So then when the league folds,
the merger, okay.
The league folds, and then 2 years later, right? 2 years later, 3 seasons later, they adopted because they didn't get into it right away. It was something that was we're not doing that.
What, 76, 77? 76?
76. Yep.
76 is when they did the deal with 77. They merged.
76, 77 was the first year of it. So with that being said, right? There was some credibility to it because a lot of the players who played in the NBA played in the ABA. If I'm not mistaken, Tone, I think over 200 or something like 250 guys from the ABA ended up playing in the NBA. With that being said, the stuff that they decided to leave in the ABA, the ball, the cheerleaders in bikinis, that kind of stuff, that can stay. The 3-point line, it was a trial thing, and let's see how this goes. We'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. Only to find out, you know what? This does have some credibility to it, considering what it was in the ABA. With the 4-point line in the Philippine Basketball League, Tone, that's not to say that the Philippine Basketball League isn't good. There's some players over there.
I'm not suggesting this is going to be the catalyst to bring it into the NBA. What I'm saying is it starts with one.
Somewhere. It starts somewhere. And then so is this am I looking at before I'm gone, am I looking at a 4-point line in the NBA, Tone?
I believe you are.
Because this what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like with the ABA, it took 3 seasons for them to give it a trial run. With the 4-point line, I'm sure that this is run across the rules committee's desk. I'm sure that this is run across Adam Silver's desk, and they're probably not interested in it. So when is the conversation going to get a little bit louder? Because it's one thing to just have a conversation about it, but when is it going to be something where let's try this at the All-Star game, or let's try this.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Let's try this at the All-Star game, or let's try this in preseason or something like that, like they did that year in 2006, 2007 when they changed the basketball, and we knew right from the beginning, okay, this isn't going to work. We got to get back to the old basketball. So when does this conversation become, or when does it grow legs is my question. Because when I think about the 4-point line, everything starts as a gimmick, right? Everything starts as a gimmick until it's actually something that's viable, that more eyes can get on. Now, remember, Tone, the 3-point line and Steph Curry are what ruined the game. So now what you want to do is you want to add another line even further back.
Whoa, it ruined the game?
This is what I'm hearing about Steph. Steph Curry has made it clear numerous times. I did not stop saying I ruined the game, because I did not ruin the game because of him shooting the long ball, which he didn't. Let's be clear about that. Steph Curry did not ruin the game. That's just not true. No, he did not ruin the game. But he's on record saying that. Yo, stop saying that I ruined the game, because I did not. That is not what I did. So we got people blaming Steph Curry for ruining the game. So now what you want to do, Tone, is you want to move the game even further away from the basket.
I'm not saying I want to do it.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you.
What I'm saying is the 3-point line was met with a bunch of traditionalists saying this is nuts, this is crazy, we don't like it. Where then it got to a point where halfway through the 90s they said hey, it's too defensive oriented. The lane is too clogged. The game isn't fun anymore. It's just a bunch of bruisers banging inside. Let's shorten the 3-point line and encourage people to shoot from further out to open up the game a bit, get the offensive flowing a little bit more.
Right.
Then, and they make fun of those couple of years, but at the same time, it got people shooting more. And then what you saw was they put the line back to where it is today, and the numbers went down a little bit. But then, as we saw, people started to, the mathletes started coming out and saying it's a more efficient shot. By the way, it's not. I've proven that. By the way, but anyway, it's more efficient. Look at, and they created a lackluster field goal and true shooting percentage, which are the most flawed, stupid metrics in the world. But anyways, that's a different conversation.
It's not dumber than true shooting, Tone. And I'm ready to take a letter opener and jam it in my ear when I got to talk about true shooting. I can't handle it. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Listen, if I get 100% for hitting a 2-pointer and 113% for hitting a free throw, something's wrong. But anyways, I digress.
This doesn't make sense at all. Not even a little bit. It
so we opened up the game, but what's happening? And Coach Mo and I talked about this last night. Guys aren't like, we were talking about the Olympics, and they're like, oh, the line is shorter, and he's like, yeah, but guys aren't shooting it from right behind the line.
No, they're not.
They're taking a couple steps back because it's a more, what would you want? A contested 3-pointer at the line, or a little bit more open 3-pointer a few feet back? And I said, well, as a 3-point shooter, I'm going to take the open one a couple feet back. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting. People love Steph Curry. People are jumping and screaming as much for a 3-pointer now as they are for dunks. They just are. They weren't before. It was like, okay, he hits a 3, yay.
Well, no. Remember what this is from, though, Tone, because the average person can't dunk the ball behind their head or run by the rim and dunk the ball like that. Steph Curry made it fashionable to be able to shoot threes because, one, he looks like you guys. He's not that tall. His stature isn't up.
He doesn't look that tall in the NBA.
Let me rephrase that.
He's our height, and we are tall everywhere we go, except in NBA circles. Yes,
Steph Curry is in the. If we're being honest, Steph Curry is in the 1%.
He's in the 1%, exactly.
Yes, he is. Steph Curry is in the 1%, but he made it fashionable because of how he looks. His stature isn't imposing. Let me rephrase that.
Yes, that's good. Yes,
his stature isn't imposing, and people look at him. I mean, I just saw a clip of him a couple of days ago. He was in the Nike store in London. He had on a pair of shades, and people didn't know who he was. And he saw somebody buying a Steph Curry jersey. He was like, "Yo, that's a good jersey. You should buy that."
Yeah,
you find out that yes, exactly. So, with that being said, he made that fashionable. It got to a point where people started saying, "You ruined the game," which I don't think he did. I don't buy that logic at all. I don't think he ruined the game. But the idea of dunking the basketball, like Jordan kind of dunks Jordan did.
Very few people can do that.
That's just not realistic. But to watch Steph Curry, maybe I can do that. I'll give you a prime example. My nephew, Fluent Jr. Fluent Jr. is behind the long ball line, not just because his father did it, right? Not just off the strength of his father,
a little bit, but
yeah, not just because,
yes,
off the strength of his father, but Steph Curry kind of
that's his favorite player. That's his favorite team. Yeah, 100%, absolutely.
Kind of added to that. He's not looking at LeBron James going, "Yo, I want to fly through the air like that, and I want to be able to dunk like that." I mean, that's not.
Oh no, he's doing that too, but he just it's just on the rim down here, and he's destroying all my doors and. But he'll get to that point. He's already touching 8 foot. So I'm actually he might have something I never had. He might have some hops.
we might have a better athlete in the family. That's what I'm talking about.
So I'm just, again, when I saw that a couple of days ago, I immediately thought of you and I in that conversation because you said it's never going to happen, but it might. And then I don't know. Will the NBA become completely unwatchable when everyone's jacking it up from the logo all the time because the analytics say, 20% from 4 is 25%. Sorry, 25% from the 4-point line is the equivalent of 50% from 2, which mathematically it is. And now it's like, oh, if I hit 1 of 4, from there, I'm an efficient scorer, and I'm going to put a bullet in my head. Like I would drive my car into a telephone pole.
I'm telling you. And by the way, Tone, this is going to be offense ran at the long ball line because again, what are we at 23-9 with the 3-pointer? So what's it going to be with the 4-point line? That's got to be at least 25 feet at minimum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be 25, 26, something like that. Yeah.
At least 25. So that means we're going to be running offense at the 26-foot line. That's what which is, and the hash mark is at 28. So that's where we're going to be running offense.
Maybe that's where it is. It's at the hash.
Oh my God.
It scares me because I told you someone was going to try it, and here we go. And if it starts to roll, then I don't know. The only thing I can think of, and I'm going to tell the NBA right now, where are you, Adam Silver? If you put in a 4-point line, also make it that if you miss, it's -1 point. Because that's like there has to be a deterrent from shooting it. It's like if you miss, it's -1.
What happens, so what happens, Tone, if we're tied at 3 and I have to get a shot off with the clock running out and I hoist it at the 4-point line and I miss? We lose.
Don't.
Oh my God.
Don't. That's exactly because I don't like when they do that anyways. So don't.
My God.
Oof. Okay. So that's one. Now this one, football season is coming.
Yes, it is.
Football season is coming.
Training camp is already open.
We do a little bit of football on this show, as you know. So there's some football things in this next one. Because I want to ask you, which is most likely to happen? Which is most likely to happen? You got 4 choices. I don't know how your baseball is. Let me take the banner off so you can read the last one.
Yep.
So, is it LeBron James wins another title? Now, you're already, I know, on record as saying he's not winning another one.
Nope.
Aaron Rodgers wins another Super Bowl. I'm on record as saying he's never actually won any because the defense won him that one that he got in Green Bay early in his career, and he's overrated. But I'm a Bears fan, so that's what I have to say.
That's why you're saying that, Tone, for that reason right there.
I admit it, though. I admit it. Tiger Woods, who shot like an 87, I think I outshot Tiger Woods this weekend. Tiger Woods wins another major, or Mike Trout wins a World Series.
So James winning another title is a bit different because we got to put some context on that. James, I think he's done winning titles as the man. So I can't see him as the man winning any more NBA championships. But that's who he is, though. He doesn't know how to play any other way except being the man. So currently, I think the days of James winning NBA championships are over. Aaron Rodgers, could he win another Super Bowl? I don't think it's unrealistic because I watched Peyton Manning, who couldn't throw past 40 yards in Denver, win a Super Bowl with a stacked defense. So I did see that. Is it realistic with the Jets, though? That's the question. Because the Jets, they have built some offense around him. And for all intents and purposes, they have built some offense around him. But with that being said, he can still throw, but it's the Jets. Tiger Woods, to be honest with you, Tone, it's painful to watch him. It is.
I agree.
It's painful to watch Tiger. And that's not to say that Tiger wasn't awesome. But people so want to see the old Tiger. They want to see the old Tiger because he's still around, only except they get the old Tiger. That's what they're getting. And I would be floored if he won another major. Could he still do it? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, was it in 2024? I want to say, Tone, maybe within the last 5 years, I think he won the Masters. Within the last 5 years, was it the Masters? It was with the bad knee. It wasn't that long ago. He won something, a major, with a bad wheel.
No, he hasn't won a major in a long time.
I'm almost certain that he won.
He won. I think he won like a tournament or something. Like if his last major well, it depends. Well, you're right. Wood's last major was the 2019 Masters. Look at that.
I knew it was in the last 5 years that he won something major. But he was hobbling then, Tone. That was 5 years ago, right? That was 5 years ago. The Anaheim Angels are garbage, if we're gonna be honest. They're at the bottom of the American. They're at the bottom of the AL West. Mike Trout, for all intents purposes, He's made of glass. From a talent standpoint, he is fantastic, Tone. He Joel Embiid if he can stay healthy. That's who he is. And then they lose Ohtani on top of that. So could Mike Trout win a World Series? Yeah, if he went somewhere else and he was
right, just on the team. Yeah,
that could happen. But
for the record, Anaheim has more wins than my Chicago White Sox, who stink. I'm just kidding. They're not my team. The Oakland A's, who are moving to Las Vegas, so they've got no will to live. The Miami Marlins and the Colorado Rockies.
I thought this was earlier in the season. I thought it was my Mets. We actually got it together.
No, you got 51. You're above 500. Yeah,
we actually got it together, and we were able to start making a fight for the wild card. But there was a stretch early in the season where you couldn't convince me. Forget the White Sox, forget Colorado, forget Anaheim, forget the A's. I thought we were the worst team in baseball.
Anaheim was worse. Listen, the Dodgers are just going to break my heart again this year. But let's.
That could happen. That could very well happen. James could win the one here that's the most likely, Tone, is Mike Trout getting traded to like Houston or the Yankees and somebody giving him an opportunity where he doesn't have to do much and he could kind of like what happened with Gary Payton in Miami. Something like that. So
you're going Mike Trout. I'm gonna go. I would love for it to be LeBron James. As much as people
would you love for it to be LeBron James somewhere else, or would you? Okay,
no, absolutely not. Because he's on the Lakers. I would love for it to be LeBron James.
Sure.
If he left, then no. But I got to be honest. Realistically, I think it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it's with the Jets, like you said, though. I think it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what his contract's like with the Jets, but I think it's Aaron Rodgers going to a team like when Peyton Manning went to Denver, and the defense just, he had a noodle arm, and the defense just carried him, and they won. Because that can still happen. Like if you look at the NFL, it still could. It doesn't happen often, but there's like this 8 to 10 year cycle where there's this run first defensive team just
You get one. You get one.
Breaks all logic and wins, right? Like Denver, Baltimore, like all those teams. Brad Johnson in Tampa, right? Like there's Trent Dilfer in Baltimore. Yep. Again, Peyton Manning not being the same Peyton Manning in Denver. So it happens every little while. So I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers, as much as it pains me to say it. Because the question is which is the most likely to happen. So that's the most. It's
not which one could happen. It's which one is the most likely.
Yeah, if you had to pick one, which one's the most likely? I'm taking that because I believe more so than any other, I think football is the ultimate team game, and even a quarterback can be hidden, has been proven. Yes. Like I said, many, many times. Or again, he can go. He's talented enough. He can go on a run, right? Like we've seen guys who aren't
at this age.
Even at this age, I think, because again, it's just enough, right? He doesn't have to do it all. He's got a young running back in Bryce Hall. Sure. He's got receivers. He's got an excellent defense. That's the reason why even as it's the Jets, and the Jets are the equivalent of like, I don't know, the Timberwolves or the Clippers. Yeah, they're the Clippers, exactly. Yeah, the Clippers. So it's very unlikely, but they've got the pieces where he could. Right. But I mean, you've seen Eli Manning, you've seen Nick Foles, like you've seen significantly lesser quarterbacks than him go on a run. So
they weren't 40 though. They weren't 40, and they still had viable athleticism. I mean, he tore up his Achilles last year, so that's going to hamper him. That's number one. Number two, can he still throw? I think Aaron Rodgers can still throw. He's 40 years old, and the quarterback position is way different today than what it was 10 years ago when you can really knock a guy on his ass. You can't do that as much today. So quarterbacks are much more preserved. The thing I'm thinking about with the Jets, are they going to surround him with enough offense in order for them to have a chance? Because I can appreciate the defense, Tone, but the defense has to be something stellar. So like you just mentioned, Brad Johnson, that 03 Tampa defense is up there with the 85 Bears.
They need to be. They need to go on an elite run. Right. Absolutely,
something ridiculous like that. So
Hey, that's baseball. Yeah. Anyways, so speaking of LeBron and the Lakers,
Yep.
I saw a conversation you guys were having, and I'm going to throw it out to you, because I don't really watch that show, to be honest, but I always see clips of it. Is LeBron James the best player in the world?
So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Tone, you said something in the beginning of the show about the 4-point line, and I was like, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. No. Tone and I, for the folks at home and for the folks on the radio, Tone and I, we have a tendency to disagree about certain things, and I will fight him on it, and then later on, I'll be like, I think he was right. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was right on this, and I can't believe I fought him on this. And what I'm thinking to myself, okay, and this may sound ridiculous, about maybe 15 months ago, Anthony Davis is in the Laker uniform, and he's getting busy. Not only is he getting busy, he's looking like one of the best players in the game. And I'm like, okay, here we go. We got something going. Tone says to me, Jay, the business-minded Tone is, which I should be listening to him more than I actually do, but the business-minded Tone is, he says to me at the top of his voice, Jay, sell now. Sell now. He ain't say this to me once. He said this to me 5 times in a row. Jay, sell now. Why? I was wrapped up in what was going on in this little bit of time. I was wrapped up in that. I was so enthralled in Anthony Davis, 55 and 10, 37 and 15, 32 and 20, 38 and 14. Yo, they're back. Jay, sell. Jay, sell. What's going on with the Olympic team is LeBron James is leading them in scoring. Anthony Davis is leading them in rebounding. LeBron James is leading them in assists. Anthony Davis is leading them in blocks. This looks like this is going to be awesome. What we're forgetting is the Olympics are only 3 weeks. That's it. The Olympics are only 3 weeks. And my man Tone over here, I hear him in my ear 15 months ago, Jay, sell. Don't buy this. I'm not buying it. I'm not, Tone.
You can't handle the truth.
I'm not buying it. I can't. It's as good as James is, and what I've seen from him over these last 3 weeks, or over these last couple of weeks, he clearly is playing the best of all of these guys. I don't think that that's a question to be asked. The fact that we have the amount of talent that we have on this team, we got Thanos, we got Thor, we got Captain America, right? We got Wolverine, we got Gambit. Why do we have to get Dr. Xavier to come save us? Why is that going on? Why is Dr. Xavier having to come save us when we have all this other firepower?
For those in the MCU or the X-Men universe, don't get mad at Jay. He does mean Professor X. He does mean Professor X.
Professor X. I'm sorry, not Dr. Xavier. Professor X. You know who he is, right? Why does Professor X have to come save us? What's going on here?
Because the mental game is just, if not more important than the physical attributes.
Which would explain why he is what he is now. Because if you watch him, right? If you watch him, it's clear. Tone, let's not go back. We're in 2024 right now. How about we stay like right around 2021? Let's say 2020. James is an athlete. I don't think he's the same athlete that he is today that he was just 4 years ago. I ain't even talking about 2009 James, 2010 James, where he looked like he was on fast forward and everybody else was on regular speed. No, I ain't talking about that guy. I'm just talking about this regular guy. So now where we are is we're in a space where he's so smart. I'm not the athlete that I used to be, but I'm so much smarter than the rest of you guys that I could still do a lot of the other stuff that I used to be able to do, which doesn't involve athleticism. Even though I'm still an elite athlete, I'm just not what I used to be, but I'm still an elite athlete, and I can still do a lot of the stuff that I used to be able to do off of me just being smarter than you guys. A back cut, a wide open jump shot, a back screen, and then pop into the ball. Knowing how to play the game. I just look smart. I don't look it. I am smarter than the rest of you guys. So with that being said, you couple that in with Anthony Davis doing what he's doing. This is what it looks like.
Well, I'm gonna steal the Creator Hour has a new intro, and I'm just gonna steal the first second of it because it's better coming from them than it is from me.
Get your popcorn ready, it's a show you can't miss.
Get your popcorn ready because this is going to surprise everyone.
Say it, Tone.
Am I looking in the camera?
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James today on July 23rd, 2024 is the best basketball player in the world. And here's why. And here's why he's the best basketball player in the world today. Because everybody else has a fatal flaw that he does not have.
Which is
something. Everybody has something. So just think about it. If you look around the league, give me some of the other guys that you would say are in that conversation.
So
let's play
Joker.
that game. Let's play that game. Okay, Joker. Okay, so stop there.
Stop in here,
So LeBron James is every bit of the passer that Joker is. I would say he's a better scorer than he is. He's shooting the three better than he has his entire career. I don't think anyone's going to argue basketball IQ is on, if not higher than Jokic. Right. And you know what? Even at almost 40 years old, he's more athletic than he is. So there's nothing that Joker's just leaps and bounds better than LeBron, but there are things that LeBron does better than Jokic.
Right.
So next.
Giannis.
Can't shoot. Just can't shoot. He's got a fatal flaw. He can't shoot. Out.
Luka.
Shoots too much. Athleticism again is there, and I think the IQ, not that he doesn't have great IQ, but he does a lot of things where it's too much pounding of the ball, being like the one-man show. And again, he can pass just as good. The IQ is there, and he's more athletic than him.
Jason Tatum.
That's in between the ears. I'm still waiting for Jason Tatum to be a man. No offense, he's a teenager.
Still.
Because I don't want to call him a kid, right? But he doesn't have that. He's a beta, as the kids would say. He does not have that alpha mentality ever. Hopefully he gets it. But today he does not have it.
Joel Embiid.
Injury prone, defensively kind of a liability, not always up here, right? In his mindset.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I think there's a lot. I think that's more going to be the size, the strength, and the experience.
I'm still just bigger, faster, and stronger than you, and I'm smarter than you.
Exactly. There's things that SJ can't do because of his size that LeBron can still do. And I'll go back and use like Jordan as an example. When he came back that second go round, he did not have the athleticism. Right, it was all.
He wasn't Air Jordan no more.
He wasn't Air Jordan anymore. He was fadeaway Jordan.
Right.
But he killed them with the knowledge, the footwork, those types of things.
Right. Let's see. Anthony Davis.
Really?
KD.
Anthony doesn't show up. No, Anthony Davis doesn't show up against elite opponents. He just doesn't. And again, injury prone as well. But he's been better. Last year was better.
AD. I'm sorry, KD.
Oh, KD? Really? You want me to talk about KD?
No, I don't want you to talk about. I just brought him up. Just
KD shouldn't even be in this conversation.
Curry.
Again, the defense, the size, right? He's an elite shooter, greatest shooter of all time, but he can't. Like, I can't have Curry taking the ball from the top of the key, driving, laying it up with his left hand, and winning a game, even against South Sudan. Can't.
And I'm on record, Tone. I'd never. Just the same way I felt about Wade and Bryant, where I never felt like Wade was ever better than 24. At no point did I ever feel like Curry was ever better than James. Even when it was a conversation, I still never felt like he was better than him.
I think he did. Yeah, he did things better, but
right.
no one's ever picking.
I understand
Curry
that. However, I do have Steph Curry. I had Steph Curry where he was playing at, because where we are now with LeBron James, this is a stretch.
Yeah.
What is the model? We're gonna get back to Curry.
Yeah,
We're
and let me just say to Bubba G got cuts. Embiid a defensive liability. I said at times. Why? And I said it because of the injuries, because of the laziness, because of the mindset. There are times when he just like disappears. So I'm not saying he's a defensive sieve. I'm saying at times. So just hear the whole sentence. Yes.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Let's see. That's what, 9 guys? I think that's 9 guys. I think that's 9 guys. Donovan Mitchell?
Not even in the conversation.
Devin Booker?
Not in the conversation.
No. That's as far as I'm going, Tone. Anthony Edwards? No.
Not yet. He's not. Yeah, he may be, but so that's what I'm saying. Today, it's him, and it shouldn't be him. Let's be clear. It shouldn't be him, but no one else has. When you forget all the other stuff, no one has that mentality today. They still they don't. And it's something that I think 2008, it was just ingrained in him because I heard it straight from Steve Kerr's mouth. Nobody practices harder than LeBron James. Who does that sound like? Nobody practices harder than Kobe. Nobody practices harder than Jordan. Nobody practices harder than Magic. Every time I hear that, it's been throughout the decades, it's been LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, Magic. Not shockingly, it's Russell. It's always the best players of the era that just they practice harder, they work harder, they want it more.
Right.
And as much as you can say this person's more talented or more skilled or more athletic, they're more this, they shoot better, you can nitpick little things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody wants it more. And that's why he's showing right now. Oh yeah, Bird's another one. Absolutely. Thank you.
And it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that you said 08. And when was that? That's when he first got with Bryant. It's not a coincidence that time, I thought I was working until I saw 24 and I go, okay, that's what the work looks like. That's what I got to put in my game. I got it. Okay.
Yeah. However, since I had the question, I will say for Squid, what's KD's weaknesses? Weaknesses are defense, leadership, and mindset. And right now, there's some injury questions. Now, hopefully he comes back and he's healthy and blah, blah, blah. But right now he's hurt too. So
sure. Yeah. Now, what I want to ask.
Playmaker. Sorry. And he's not the playmaker. He's not a playmaker.
Being a bucket getter and a passer is not this. Playmaking it entails so many different things.
Yeah.
Tone, what I want to ask you is, what is the model of greatness? What I mean when I ask you that is, what do great players do to make them great?
Work.
Do they work sometimes, Tone?
No,
most of the time?
Work all the time. It's work all the time, harder than anybody else.
That sounds to me like consistency. That's what that sounds to me like.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's consistency. 100, and that's. Remember, I said this to you about Tatum. I want to say 2 years ago, because we were talking about. You were saying, "Hey, Tatum's on the rise. Tatum's going to be this dude. He's going to be this guy." And I said the only thing he's missing is that there are these peaks and valleys, and the greats still have lows, right? And sometimes their highs come down, but you narrow that gap between the highs and the lows. And he's gotten closer, but there was at the time 2 years ago they were too much of a difference, and that's what was holding him back. So that consistency, that work, that consistently being right. How many times did we talk about when Kobe was considered one of, if not the best players in the league? Even then they were like, yeah, but he outworks us. He works harder than everybody. He would have even told you, like, I'm not going to let any. What's the story? Was it Jay Williams? Was it Jay Williams that he's like, I got to the gym, Kobe was already there, and then I went, finished my workout, and left, and like he was still there. And when I saw him after the game, he dropped 40 something on us, and they lost. And he goes, and I went and asked him, I said, dude, like when I got there, you were already like drenched in sweat, and you didn't leave until I left. And he said, I didn't want you walking out of that gym thinking you work harder than me. That was just his psychotic mentality, but that was his mentality. But that's what makes these guys, right? That's where the separation becomes. I know I'm always picking on him, and I'm sorry because I love Vince. I love Michelle. We've had a chance to talk with his mom and with Vince.
Good conversation too. Great conversation.
He didn't have that. He had everything else, right? The gods reached down and gave him the athletic ability and the skill and the talent and he just and listen, it's just
To
not
live
everybody.
in the gym. To live in the gym.
Not everybody's thing, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But that's the only thing that stopped him from being in this conversation we're having now.
100%.
He had other interests, and that's, again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's fine. It's just, I look at a guy like, I've said this to you before too, and then we can move on because we've got more things to talk about. But Andrew Wiggins, when you remember when he came out of Maple Jordan, right? When he came out of
Kansas.
even out of high school, no, even before Kansas, when he came out of high school, they were talking about him, and I always say his career. I think his career would have been so much different if the Cavs don't trade him for Kevin Love and he gets to be on the wing, on the perimeter, defending and learning. Yeah, he probably have to shift to a 2 guard, which is fine, I think, because he developed the shot next to James, because James would have, I think, instilled that mentality that he kind of had, but learned also from Kobe.
With Kyrie Irving.
With you put that into Wiggs with the talent and athleticism, all the things he had coming out.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have gotten the gym with James, because it was funny. I've said this a few times. I go, I saw him in high school. I saw him in college. I saw him his rookie year, and like his arms didn't get bigger; they got like skinnier. But I think like, if he would have been in the gym with these guys, I think he would have bulked up a little bit and would have been
right.
Just like, I think it would have been a different player because the downside is, again, and I'm not knocking Minnesota. He goes to Minnesota, it
wasn't the same thing. No, it wasn't.
There's no one there really to push him. There's no one there.
Playing with Jimmy Butler is not the same as playing with James. No, those two things are not the same. However, Tone, everything that you just said, when you talked about consistency, that's where the line is drawn. And the reason why I say that's where the line is drawn is because this 3-week, not trial, but this 3-week run that I'm looking at looks fantastic. Can James put this together for an entire 82-game season? He played 71 games last year. I think the Lakers did a great job in managing him. But again, we're talking about a 39-year-old going on 40, right? He'll be 40 years old in December, still 39, but that's the mark, like you just said, of greatness, consistency. Can I bring it every night? I'm not young enough. I'm not young as I used to be where I can do this on a night-to-night basis. Now, mind you, Tone, on a Tuesday, I'm 28-12.
But what he can do is, like, and to a lesser extent, is pick his spots, right? So he doesn't have to score. Like, everyone's really impressed with his 30, points a game or whatever. I think the Lakers could be as, if not more. No, I think they could be more successful. Now they need another piece, but they could be more successful if he just picks his spots. If now this is the problem with James. He doesn't know how to step away, right? But if he could find a way, and maybe JJ can talk him into it, I don't know. And it's like, okay, this is AD's night, but I'm going to need you in, these minutes, those 2 minutes, these 5 minutes, this end of game. They could be more successful with him averaging 25 a night versus 30.
He did that this season that just passed. It was 25.
Yeah, it was 25. Yeah,
7. It was 25.
It might have to be 23 or 24. It might, whatever it has to be. I think he can, if he can pull it back a bit and pick his spots, because you're right. Can he go 82 games and 30? No, I don't think that's going to be a successful team.
Physically, I don't think he could do it.
It'd be very difficult.
I'm not saying that on a Tuesday, Tone, in December, you can't you can't cut a turn of game on it and see that he was 27, 11, and 6. He could do that on a Tuesday. Sure, what I'm saying is, when we get into the dog days of the season, we get into the middle of December up until February, when now it gets to be redundant. Now it gets to be every night, and you got to bring it. Right, we're on this 5-game road trip out east. We're on this 4-game road trip down through Texas and then to Phoenix. Can he still do it? Right? Can he still do it on a consistent basis? Because that's the mark of a great player. Consistency. At his advanced age, nah. That's the issue, Tone. That's why I don't have him at the top of the league like I do. Like I said this after the 21 season. It was either after the 21 or the 22 season, I felt like that was the last year of him being a top 5 player because in order to be in that conversation, you have to be consistent in what you do. That means availability. That means your game. That means your physical condition. You have to be. The Lakers did a great job in managing him. I won't argue.
I disagree with that. I disagree. I think because of the stupidity, because as smart as LeBron James is, he's stupid. Why is he stupid? Because it was the inaugural in-season tournament. Right. And he probably, let's be honest, he probably had a conversation with Adam Silver. They probably had and it was like, this is going to be your legacy. And that goddamn word, I think, has ruined
legacy.
Who should be, I'm going to say this, he should be, without a debate, the greatest basketball player of all time. The fact that there is a debate, I believe 100% in my heart of hearts, is because of that damn word legacy, and because he keeps chasing and trying to do what someone else did or something the other person never did. Because that in-season tournament at 38, 39, there's 38 years old. Okay, he didn't have his birthday yet. Or maybe he did have it by the time the finals happened. I don't know, whenever it was. No, still 38.
Still 38, yep.
That legacy of saying this in-season tournament is going to be your legacy. You're going to win it. You're going to be the in-season tournament MVP. The Saudis are going to throw a bunch of money and take it over, which I said was going to happen, by the way. I called that one.
Yes, you did say that.
And it's going to be, when you retire, the in-season tournament is going to be the LeBron James trophy, and the MVP of the in-season tournament is going to be the LeBron James award. And he went, ooh, I like that. And what he should have done was like what Jimmy Butler did the year before, which was start off the season slow, miss your games, all-star break, start to ramp it up a little bit.
See, Tone, I don't think he knows how to do that, though. That's the problem. And that's Bryant. That's Jordan. That's
you said the Lakers managed him well, and I'm saying no, they didn't, because they let him, I'm going to get something here. I know what you guys are going to say, but they allowed him to blow his load early in the season.
Right.
And I much would have rather that happened at the end. I want him peaking as the playoffs start ramping up, because guess what? That in-season tournament Laker team, that in-season tournament LeBron James, if that was the team that played in the first round, they beat Denver.
Way different.
Now, hopefully they don't play Denver, but that team beats Denver. The team that went up against Denver had no shot. They were lucky they got that one game.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, and that's why it's hard to say anybody else is the best player in the world right now, because I don't have that faith in anybody else.
I just think that when this team, or when James, I mean, you just brought it up, Tone, the in-season tournament, and how it was the beginning of the season. We were barely a month into the season when the in-season tournament started. So of course these guys are all on 10. James does not know how to dial it back. So the Lakers, when I say that they did a good job in managing him, when he started to get sore, when he started to come up lame, they would sit him down. They would spread out games. He wouldn't play back-to-backs. They would do that. Now, once he's out there, because again, Tone, a guy like James, very much like Jordan, very much like Jabbar, you got to save these guys from themselves. You have to take them off the floor. They're not going to take themselves off the floor. You have to take them off the floor. So with James being where he was during the season, when he would come up lame, okay, you sitting out tonight. We have to make you sit out tonight. Otherwise, he's going to play as much as he possibly can. And on top of that, he's going to ultimately break down because of his age. Not because he's injury prone, but because I'm long in the tooth. So the Lakers had to save him from himself. With that being said, Tone, we now have James in a space where him being the most consistent is predicated on how many games they have him playing. Because of his age. That's it. Nothing more. Not because of his game, but because of his age. And we can't throw him out there for 82 games. We can't throw him out there for 80 games at 35, 40 minutes, because he's going to break down.
There's
That's gonna happen.
there's aliens in this world. He's one of them. Let him go. So now, the title of the show, of course, some people might be questioning and saying, "Hold on, what were we talking about here with the graphic?" Because I don't know if you actually do. You look at the graphics? I don't even know. Do you look? Okay, so you know that what I'm gonna bring up next is, because that's James. Today, what's gonna happen is this.
Is he gonna come out of retirement? Is he really gonna do that, Tone?
Now he might be wearing a suit. Let's be honest. He might be wearing a suit. But I think it's a foregone conclusion that there's two teams coming into the NBA. It's going to be the Seattle Supersonics, which I know makes both of us very, very happy.
I'm very happy about that.
And it's going to be the Las Vegas. I don't know. I don't think you're allowed to call. No, that's the WNBA team. That's the
WNBA, right? That's the Aces.
You can't use the other one.
Can't call them the Spades. No, we can't do that.
Yeah, that got Jalen in trouble.
The Spades.
It'll be something. The Las Vegas Desert. They might call them the Las Vegas Bronnies. I don't know.
Something like that.
I'm sure they're going to come up with something very clever. So the Las Vegas Basketball Club will probably have Bronny and Bryce on that team. Good news, bad news. Is this good for the NBA? Bad for the NBA? I guess now that Jordan's gone, and minority owner would be, I think, a great thing for the league. Need Tony, more than all sports.
I know that you want to talk about these guys, and I do not want to talk about James being an owner until I see a team in Seattle. I couldn't care less. I could not care less about these three until the Seattle Supersonics are back in Seattle. I couldn't. Tone, I'm on record saying this. They are the only team since 1967 years that have an NBA champion from their city, and they still don't have their NBA team. They're the only team in the NBA. No other team in 67 years.
No. In 67 years.
In 67 years.
What was it? The Syracuse Nationals?
Yes. That was in 50. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that was the 56-57 season. Something like that. But with that being said, they're the only ones. Give Seattle their team back, then I got no problem, Tone, talking to you about LeBron James actually owning a team, because what it's going to take to get a team in the NBA, what's it going to take to get the Las Vegas Kings? Well, we can't call them the Kings.
No, we can.
Sacramento already has a team.
I have an idea. Woodage gave me a good idea. So the Las Vegas Kings, because it's King LeBron James. So I like that. I would suggest Sacramento go back to their original name, the Royals.
Or the Las Vegas Royals. How about that?
No. Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah. I guess you could. I guess that's easier. But I'm thinking make the Kings, because the Kings are really the Queens. So make them the Royals. They could be like the royal family. You got the Las Vegas Kings. New Orleans goes back to the Jazz, right? And Utah does something. I don't know, something.
There's no jazz.
There's no jazz. It's like Footloose. They've outlawed music.
Let's be honest about that. There's no jazz. So we can't call them the Las Vegas
or something.
The Royal Flush. No, we can't.
The Royal Flush.
No, we can't call them that. No, that's not a. We can't call them the Knights, because that's the hockey team too. But okay,
you could call Sacramento the Royal Flush, because that's what they did after making the great run in the playoffs. The next year they had to.
Yeah, they were garbage.
Down the toilet.
So figure, Tone, if you get, you're gonna have to get a group, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna have to get a group of investors to come in.
Do you know how much it's gonna cost them?
It's gonna cost at least $5 billion, at least.
So Coach Paul McKeskey yesterday said he's thinking $7 billion, and he's in Vegas, so he's kind of a little bit connected. He's saying the Las Vegas NBA team is gonna cost $7 billion.
$7 billion. Now figure what is
they could buy the WNBA's TV rights 3 times over and still have money left over.
So you figure if it's, let's just say for the sake of argument that's true, Tony, it's going to cost $7. If it's going to cost $7, What is your end? What is James coming in with? Because
That's the problem, because
Right.
his net worth, and people forget net worth isn't cash in the bank.
no, it's
His
not.
net worth is 1 billion. So he's not liquid.
No.
It's going to have to be loans and debt
Right.
and handshakes and deals and, you know, president of basketball operations, like a title, like, and because of the title you get you know, he's going to be a minority owner, not minority meaning as a percentage of, not a majority owner.
I'm finding this out now because I'm interested just off the strength tone of what it would cost, right? Okay, so this was just 2 years ago, right? This was just 2 years ago in 2022. The average NBA team's value was 2.48. That was the average,
Yes.
right? So we talking about Atlanta, right? We talking about Brooklyn, teams like that, right? This is the average NBA team, right? And and at that time, in 2 years ago, there were 14 teams that had a net worth over 2 billion. Now, just last year, that went up to 3.8. Just last year in 2023, it went up
So
to
here,
3.8.
I got the 2024 numbers if you want them.
I'm listening.
The Golden State Warriors value right now, in 2024, 7.7 billion.
Sure.
The Knicks, 6.6 billion.
Right.
The Lakers, 6.4 billion.
Right.
Celtics, 4.7. Then there's a drop off, 4.7, 4.6, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So to buy the team alone is going to be 5. You need a stadium. You need.
Is it though, Tone? Because again, what we're doing is we're matching up the Las Vegas team with who the Golden State Warriors are today. That Vegas team isn't going to be what the Warriors are today. They're not going to be what the Lakers are today.
But that's when you buy in at what the highest priced teams are. When a new expansion franchise comes in, that's what you pay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. So
I think the NBA is going to let you just buy in for nothing, because don't forget in the NBA, revenue sharing, right? All the smaller market teams get money. So you're getting money pumped back into you. You're walking into, also don't forget what's about to get signed right now. Do you know?
What is
the new TV deal?
I don't. I wasn't.
11 years, $76 billion.
$7.5 billion a year over the next decade.
They are in such good shape.
Right.
And let's not forget, as much as the WNBA was losing money, the NBA owns 50% of that company that just signed a $2.2 billion, even though it should have been 4, signed a $2.2 billion media rights deal that the NBA is getting half of. Now, and
right.
They've never been hotter. Like, this might be next year when that kicks in. That might be the first time they make any money.
Real money.
No, they've never turned a profit.
In the 26 years, the 27 years that they've been around.
It's never turned a profit, but it's coming. It's coming.
Wow. That's pretty impressive, Tone. I'm just thinking about James with him owning this team.
Now maybe they cut him. Maybe you're right. Maybe they cut him a deal and say it's $4 billion or $5 billion or whatever. But even still,
even if that's the case, he's going to have to come up with something substantial in order to.
500 million only puts him in at
maybe a quarter, maybe a quarter.
500. No, it's like 10%.
No, that's not even. So you Jay-Z.
No, Jay-Z's like 1% of Brooklyn.
But think about 10%, Tone. That's not that big of a deal, as opposed to being a minority, a majority owner. If you're a majority owner, you are Mark Cuban, right? You are Steve Ballmer. You are that guy where I own the crew. My name is on the paycheck. If you are James and this team that you want to get in Las Vegas, let's say on the low end, Tone, the entry fee, because we didn't even talk about.
Let's say $4 billion. Let's say $4 billion.
Let's say $4 billion. What you're coming in on, right? What is the percentage that you're coming in on? Are you coming in for half of that 4? Because if you're coming in for half of that 4, how much?
I wouldn't do it if I don't have 51%.
Why would I?
I'm not coming in. Yeah.
Right. Why would I do that? Right.
Yeah, so he needs to come up with $2 billion by hook or by crook. Now, listen, you don't pay it all. Like, you get loans and whatever.
Right.
And even though his net worth is only I said only, think about how crazy that sounds, only 1 point whatever billion, you're able to, borrow on and capital, and there's endorsement deals and all that kind of stuff. He's going to leverage if he wants to be, or there might be an angel investor who has, listen, here's my biggest fear. I'll be honest with you. You know where the money might come from.
I already know where you're going, Tone.
The guy that offered his son $900 million to play in their league.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that. You want to talk about Pandora's box. Ouch. But anyways, you since you don't want to talk about that, you want to play a game?
I do want to talk about that, Tone. And the reason why I want to talk about it, and here's why I want to talk about it, because if you looking at Bronny James going to Saudi Arabia for $900 million for 1 year, let's just say 2 years. Okay, that $900 million.
I think it was a long-term deal. I'm pretty sure it was like a 10-year deal or something.
See, we're not doing that. No. We're not going to Saudi Arabia for 10 years for $900 million. Even though that sounds crazy, $90 million a year for the next 10 years.
I'll send you him because they play in a different time of the year. I'll send you him during the off season if you give me $2 billion to buy my team for the next 10 years.
Well, what did it, which doesn't sound crazy, Tone. It doesn't. Here's the question though. The question is what are the stipulations in this? I'm not just giving you my son, okay?
No, he's going to come play this many games at this time of the year so that he can still play for my team in the NBA. Or I can't send you him to play during the season in your league because maybe it overlaps. I don't know when they play. Right. However, here's what I can do. Myself and my son are both going to come over and do X amount of events per year. Mm-hmm. You're going to give me the $2 billion to have the naming rights to our new facility that we're going to build. And it's going to be the United Emirates Arena or whatever they're going to call it, Prince whoever Arena. And 100% they're doing that.
We already 100%. Well, they already isn't the tournament the Emirates Cup, and isn't that what it's called?
That is now the in-season tournament is now the Emirates Cup. Right on the referees have Emirates right on their. There's too much money, guys. For everyone who says they're not going to do it, there's too much money. Just look what happened in golf. The Live tournament came up and they said to all the players, hey, we're going to give you this much money. And some said, no, I'm going to stay faithful to the PGA because the PGA said if you leave,
not all of them, no.
You're out. A bunch of them went, oh, I'm taking that. And what did the PGA do? They had to go sit down and work out a deal, and now they're partners. And now they're partners because there's just two. Because at the end of the day, everyone's like, they can't. At the end of the day, it's a business.
100% it is.
And what's the point of a business? To make money. Sure. So if someone drops, now we've agreed that not all money is good money. We've agreed on that. But when someone drops a boatload of it, you're going to take it.
Right.
There's a number. Everybody has, like you've lied and said, I wouldn't sell out my mother for this. There's a number that you would.
Everybody has a price. If you say you don't, you're lying.
Remember the $1 million man? The $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
Everybody's got a price. And if you say you don't, you're lying. So give me a break.
Yeah, I've told you, there's people who will take the money and people who lie that they wouldn't because it's not actually being offered.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. That's right. It is. Money is beautiful.
You got a game, Tone. What do you got?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. All right. So a lot of talk, obviously, about this Team USA and how good they are or they aren't with the best player in the world, LeBron James.
Yep.
And, of course, they're comparing it to the 1992 Dream Team,
which is incredible that they do.
And some people, I didn't put the pairings together. I did not put the pairings together. I will say that right off the bat. So anybody in the chat who's like, "Why would you put that?" I didn't put the pairings together. But let's look and see. We're gonna do a head-to-head comparison of Team USA 2024 versus the Dream Team of 92. Now, keep in mind. We have to look at not who they are today, not who they are at their prime. Well, the 2024 team, who they are today, not their prime, or if they are in their prime, great. Not who they could become, who they are, how they're playing today. and the Dream Team how they were at that time. So not at their like Bird. You can't look at Bird.
Not 87 Bird, not 86 Bird.
87
This
Bird,
is
no, no.
1992 Bird. That's what we're talking about.
1992 Bird.
Sure.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So matchup 1. Steph Curry, Magic Johnson.
I'll take Magic over Steph Curry. 1992, Magic Johnson is still in his prime. Curry is still in his prime too, but he on the other side of it.
He's 38. Magic
36.
is 30. He's 36, 37, whatever it is.
Magic is 32.
Magic is 32. Now he hasn't played for a year, but in the previous years he was second in MVP, and then he was MVP, second in MVP voting, and then a year off. And obviously the effects of being HIV positive, not really affecting him at that. Well, still hasn't, but hasn't affected him at that point. We saw how he played, and I'm with you. I think the size, and even though the shooting, I'm never picking anyone over Magic. Like, who we kidding?
Sorry,
it's my favorite player all time. All right, so let me mark this down.
Sure.
I want to make sure. There we go.
When I think about Magic and Curry, I mean, I still to this day have a difficult time trying to figure out why this was ever a conversation with the lead guard. Because only thing he did better than Magic was shoot the long ball. That's it. He don't do nothing else better than Magic. Nothing. Nothing.
I agree. You're not going to get an argument from me. Clyde Drexler, 92 Clyde Drexler, let's be clear, who led his Portland Trailblazers, some would say with nobody else, he was the only great player, to 2 out of 3 NBA finals. Clyde Drexler versus Ant, who, again, that's why I said I think Ant's going to go, but he's still young, disappeared in the playoffs, Ant, right? So I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm just saying.
So we clear, Tone. This is the Drex who that summer, the 91-92 season, he finished behind Jordan in league MVP votes. He was number 2. He was in his peak, right? This was peak Drex, right? This was still prime Drex. Anthony Edwards, he hasn't reached his peak yet. We just finished year 4. We're still coming into his prime. I'm taking 1992 Drex over Anthony Edwards today. Yes, I am.
We got Drex over Ant. If you have an argument to any of these, send a super chat or wait for the link and you can come argue and say why. Matchup number 3. This one's so unfair, by the way. Like I said, I didn't put these together. But this one is so ridiculous. But they had to pair him with somebody, so.
Oh, that's just not fair. The college kid against Bam. No, it's Bam.
What? He's a basketball Hall of Famer.
No, it's Bam.
He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Because of the Dream Team.
Why the Hall of Fame is a fraud? Because he's in the Hall of Fame.
No, Tone, we're not doing that. His team, he's a part of a team that's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. He is not in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
No, Christian Leitner's in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because of the team that he was on. That's why he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
He as an individual is in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Christian Laettner is not a Hall of Famer. No, he isn't.
Yes, he is.
Christian Laettner is in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. Christian Laettner is not in the pro
players of the 92 Dream Team. All 12 players of the 92 Dream Team, I'd love to be proven wrong, are wrong, in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Christian Laettner is not a Hall of Famer. No way. Christian Laettner is not in the Hall of Fame. His team, the team that Dream Team, that Dream Team that he was on is in the Hall of Fame. That's not Christian
11
Laettner.
12 are in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, that's all that was.
Fine, the Hall of Fame gets some. He should be in, because it's what he did in college was actually pretty elite. Okay,
it was awesome. He's one of the 5 best college players ever. But his NBA career, not stellar. No.
There's been lesser players getting in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Okay. Let me just be clear, because it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. Correct. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame.
We know that's not news. We know that.
It's yes. Okay. Matchup number 4, Patrick Ewing against Joel Embiid. We got to skip this one. You know why?
No, I don't.
Because neither of them should be on Team USA.
Ewing shouldn't have been on Team USA in 1982.
Where was he born?
He's Jamaican by nationality. But he was an American citizen at that time.
Where was he born? Where was he born?
He was born in Jamaica.
So go play for Jamaica.
But he was in that. Oh, wait a minute, Tone. That's not fair. I mean, Ewing was
fair. The United States has 50 great players. The rest of the world has 5. Go play somewhere else.
He was an American citizen. What are we doing, Tone?
So can he be president?
No, he can't be president.
No, then he can't live it.
Are we holding him to that standard? What are we doing? All right, Ewing, you can't be president, so no, you can't play on the U.S. Olympic team. No, you can't do that.
You can't play.
No.
Okay, but all jokes aside. Who do you have?
Joel Embiid is made of glass, man. Ewing in 1982, the all-league defender, the glass cleaner that he was in 1982. Joel Embiid beat up like he is. But oh my goodness. Wow, this is tough, Tone. I would have to take Joel Embiid. I would have to take Joel Embiid even as good as Ewing is. And I feel like Ewing is at the peak of his. I feel like Ewing is at the peak of his prowess right now. But I had to take Joel Embiid. I would.
I'm surprised, to be honest with you. I'm surprised that you took so long because I still think and maybe this is I'm already answering my question why you took so long when I say because when healthy, I think Embiid's the better defender, the better playmaker, the better shooter. Like he does pretty much everything better. And I love Patrick Ewing, but I'm for sure going Joel Embiid as well. All right, this one is another one that I think is just there's a couple that are unfair, but some of these guys had to go up against somebody.
Right. I'll take Book over Mullen. I mean, I'm sorry, not Mullen over. I'll take Book over Bird. 92 Bird. Yeah. He couldn't walk, Tone. He can hardly walk.
No, I'm just playing.
He can hardly walk, man. As good as Bird. And Bird was fantastic, but he can hardly walk. No.
I'm putting pretty much everyone on this 2024 team over Bird because dude was playing with a broken back.
He can hardly walk.
And for those that don't know, do you know what happened 10 days after the Olympics? He retired.
Mm-hmm.
He was done.
He was over.
He was done.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't coming back.
Yeah, he was. This might be one of the best versions of this player versus a role player. So again, you got to put everybody against someone.
I'll take Scottie Pippen over Derek White. That version of Scottie Pippen, 1992, yes, better playmaker, fits better with that unit, bigger, better passer, better scorer, much better defender, better in transition. I will take Scottie Pippen over Derek White. Yes.
So we're 6 in out of 12. Just to recap, we got Magic over Steph, Drex over Ant, Bam over Christian Laettner, Joel Embiid over Patrick Ewing, Booker over Broken Bird, and Pippen over Derek White. And we are tied 3-3. All right, the next one's going to be tough for you. Really tough, he said sarcastically.
We do not care.
No, this is not tough for me. It's Stockton over Tyrese Halliburton. No, it's not tough for me at all, Tone. It's definitely John Stockton over Tyrese Halliburton. And I think Tyrese Halliburton is a great player. I think he's a great league guard. John Stockton at that point in 1992, you can make I can make a legit, I can give you legit logic. He was the best league guard in the game at that point. Magic was gone. Gary Payton was still around. Tim Hardaway was in the game. Mark Price. John Stockton was the best point guard in the game in 1992.
Do you think they are purposely phasing Halliburton out because he's just not what that team needs?
It's kind of weird.
Or are they saving him for later? Like, what is your assessment on, because each game he has played less and less and less and less and less, and the game against Germany he didn't play at all.
Right. I think the main issue that I have with why he's not playing, the main issue that I have with why he's not playing is how the ball moves. In Steve Kerr's offense, you would think that Halliburton would play a lot more, considering the passer that he is. I know they got one of those guys already in James, but I'm thinking James wouldn't be playing that much off the strength that he's old, but James actually looks great, right? James looks great. With James looking as good as he looks, and Steve Kerr now basically phasing out Tyrese Halliburton, he just doesn't really play as much as he used to. And I think one of the main reasons why I feel like his style of play, contrary to what I just said, it just doesn't fit what's going on with Steve Kerr. He should be playing more. Like I feel like if Ty Lue was the head coach, Halliburton would be playing more. I feel like if Spo was the head coach, Ty Lue would be playing. Tyrese Halliburton would be playing a lot more because I feel like his game is more conducive to what Spo does. I feel like his game is more conducive to what Ty Lue does. The fact that Steve Kerr, who is a small ball merchant, doesn't play Tyrese Halliburton, I mean, I feel like it goes back to who he is as a coach.
And you would think with this type of team, he's the type of guy like to get out and run and push, and you have so many athletes everywhere, like and shooters everywhere.
Right.
You'd think he'd be the guy, but yeah, I found that interesting. But I'm on record as saying I think Jalen Brunson should have that spot on the team, not him. But I didn't pick him, so what can I do?
If Jalen Brunson was on his team, would he play more? Because I remember Jalen Brunson in the FIBA games, and did he play over Tyrese Halliburton? Because Tyrese Halliburton was actually more productive than him when he played.
Yeah, I think what they've done in what they did over this NBA season, I feel guys should, because there's no national program where they put these people in, that you look at what they do over the season and you reward them. That's why I think Jaylen Brown should be in. That's why I think Jalen Brunson should be in over Halliburton, just because of I think what they've done, who's earned that spot, because they're not going out and trying out. They've proven, with the exception of Derek White, that they're not trying to build a team, that has role players, and they're just throwing the best players on, right? Which is probably why they're not going to win gold.
Which is
probably why they're not going to win gold.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Like you play the way that they're picking the team, and I think that Grant Hill definitely needs to be scolded a little bit on this, because if you look at the way that they're picking the team, we don't have tryouts no more, Tone. We just okay, you.
Yeah, once upon a time, remember they would invite 25, 26.
Yes, they would invite guys, right?
And they would actually, they're guys. Listen, they're guys. Look, now I get it. They came in fourth last year or 2 year, whatever it was, the FIBA, and a bunch of guys like LeBron and Steph and Katie were like, okay, we're coming together, we're gonna win gold. And it's hard to say no to that. But at the same time, you're asking guys to play roles that they've never, like in their lives, have ever played. Right? Let's be honest. Most of these guys are the best players at their high school. If they get to college, they're the best players on their college team, and they're the best players on their NBA team. And what does everybody else do? They do all the dirty work and all the other things so that they can be superstars. Well, now you're asking, Joel Embiid, listen, I don't want you, I'm not saying this is the case. I don't want you scoring. I don't want you shooting. I want you, setting screens and rim running and steal your terms, glass cleaning and doing all this stuff. He's like, I don't want to do that. Like, no, I'm Joel Embiid. Why would I do that? Well, because this is Team USA. That's what we need you to do. I need you diving for loose balls. I need you, doing whatever that is. Like everybody in Europe posts up. I need you down in the post, playing post defense against everybody that's posting up. So it's just, I find it interesting that that's not how they pick, because I keep telling you, talent and skill loses to team every time. Yes, all right, number does. 8. Number 8.
100% it does.
This one's a tough one because really you got offense versus defense. It's the bat phone. It's Commissioner Gordon. He needs an answer.
I was just about to say, Tony, I might need a lifeline.
In 1992,
Drew Holiday was not better than Chris Mullin. No, he wasn't.
And that's what I was gonna say. It's 1992 Chris Mullin. There might be other years, but yes. I think it's Chris Mullin.
Yeah. He was not better than him in 1990. He was not better than Drew Holiday. I'm a big Drew Holiday fan, as anybody knows. But
I think every team that wants to win a championship needs a, not particularly this particular, but they need a Drew Holiday. right? You need a perimeter defender who can score when you need him to. He's not gonna need the ball every night. He's not gonna need to drop 20 every night, but when you need him to, he can do it, and that's exactly what the Celtics needed. It's exactly what the Bucks needed. You need a guy like this on every single team.
Fact.
Number 9.
Uh-oh.
Now this one's interesting.
No, it's not actually, Tone. No,
I think it is. I think it is.
The reason why 35-year-old Kevin Durant, who is still one of the best scorers in the game, still one of the best, still one of the better shooters in the game, against 92 Malone, nah. Malone was entering, I think he was at that point, he was in year 7. He had entered the peak of his power. He was right in the middle of the peak of his power. Money mid-range game, one of the best transition, if not the best transition big in the game. I mean, you got Olajuwon. He was right in that conversation. He was in the conversation as much as KD as a scorer. So was Malone. Malone was right at the top of that list of scorers. He was a glass cleaner. He was a much better defender at that time. I'll take Malone over KD in 1992.
Okay, in that case, because I was gonna bring up KD's hurt. He hasn't played. Which KD are we gonna get when he does come back? And we're talking about peak Malone. Imagine for a second, if you will, Chicago Bulls had an opportunity to draft him, and instead they went with Keith Lee.
They did go with Keith Lee. I remember Isaiah
Imagine
saying
what that Bulls team could have been. If now, assuming everything else goes the same, which that's a bit, but it would have been Jordan at the 2, Pippen at the 3, Malone at the 4.
I remember Isaiah saying,
never lost.
I remember Isaiah saying when he saw that Malone was slipping, he thought that they were going to get him. He thought that he was going to drop to 18.
Yeah.
He thought that they were going to end up getting him. He was super excited about that. He was like, if we could get him, holy shit, man, we're going to be fantastic. No doubt.
You know what's interesting? If they get Malone, I think the entire dynamic change. I think they move because he went and played, moved point guard a little bit anyways, but couldn't because there wasn't another scorer. He's a scorer. If Jordan moves to the 1, we're looking at a guy averaging 8, 9, 10 assists a game and might still be dropping 25.
I don't know, Tone. I mean, Jordan was Jordan a willing passer more than he was. Yeah. I mean, he got turned loose when he got to the NBA. Remember, Tone, when he was in college, he basically had the clamps on him. So now
the one thing he did show us though is that if you can prove to him that you can win this way, he would do it.
Yes, he did. He did do that.
Right. And I think if he realized, I can get my 28 and give him 25 a night and get 6, 7, 8 assists, I think he does. Like, I think he realized I can't just kick it out to Pippen. Pippen can't. He's not gonna be knocking down that mid range. Yeah. So it's just I'm gonna be the scorer. I'm just saying it would have been interesting. All right, so we both got Malone over KD. This one for you. Give you a second to think about it.
I don't actually need a second to think about it. Even though Charles wasn't, even though Charles wasn't the best defender at that time. In fact, Charles was one of the worst defenders and one of the worst long ball shooters.
He's the world's the worst 3-point shooter of everyone who's attempted however many, more than 1,000. He's not a good 3-point shooter.
But Charles at that time in 1992 was at the peak of his power. I'm taking Charles over Jason Tatum in 1992.
This was the absolute best version of Charles Barkley.
I don't think it's a question.
And again, Jason Tatum, skill wise, you're going to pick him 10 times out of 10. But Barkley was the better player versus Tatum again. Then 92,
and I'm a Tatum guy. Anybody knows me, I'm a Tatum guy.
And that's why I thought it was hard for you.
Anybody knows me knows I'm a Tatum guy. Charles at that time, glass cleaner, great transition player, great on the block. He could knock down the mid range, tough as nails. He could throw a unit on his back. He did all of that good stuff, right? He did all of that good stuff in order for them to win. In order for them to win, he absolutely did all of that stuff. So yes, I'm taking. I'll take Charles over Jason Tatum at that time.
All right, you're gonna have a real difficult. No, not difficult. No. You're not gonna have this one. This one should be. We'll see.
Brandon, go do your homework. Brandon, please, sir. Can you please go do your homework? You're telling me about my guy in John Stockton. He clearly outplayed Kevin Johnson in 1991 in the Western Conference first round. That was when games was only a 5-game series. He clearly outplayed him in that game. For you to say that he destroyed him in that series, that's just not true. That can't be further from the truth. I'll give you 1990 when they lost to them I believe it was the first round. I think they lost to Phoenix. I'll give you the first round, 100%. I won't argue that. 1991, Stockton kicked Kevin Johnson's ass in that playoff series. 100% he did. Clearly outplayed him. He was more efficient. He was a better distributor. He was a better scorer. He was a better playmaker. He was better on defense. He outplayed him every other way that you can possibly be outplayed. Kick Kevin Johnson's ass in that series. Go do your homework before you talk to me about John Stockton. Please.
Shut your damn mouth.
You have the Admiral versus Day to Day.
And by the way, Tone, the Christian Laettner that you just showed us, Scottie Pippen, with the exception of the college kid, Scottie Pippen and this guy, they're the two youngest guys on the crew. They're the two youngest guys on the crew. So in 1992, David Robinson against Anthony Davis. David Robinson, glass cleaner, ridiculous in transition, money mid-range game. Was he a better defender than Anthony Davis? Yes, in 1992. I'm taking David Robinson over Anthony Davis.
You just made the list.
Definitely, I'm taking Anthony. I'm taking. Wow.
I am making that trade every day, twice on Sundays.
Yes.
You know, people say, you know, someone said to me yesterday or the day before, Anthony Davis would go back there and dominate. They wouldn't know what to do with them. And I'm like, really? I think David Robinson would make his life miserable.
Are you kidding me? Can you imagine Anthony Davis in 1982 trying to deal with Olajuwon?
I think most people forget how good he was because they saw like with Chuck, right? Like you see this kind of overweight, funny man on TNT, or you saw David Robinson maybe at the tail end playing kind of second fiddle, third fiddle to Tim Duncan, and you didn't really go back and watch actual David Robinson when No,
Tone, what they hold the standard that they hold David Robinson to is when he got outplayed by Olajuwon in the West Finals in '95. They forget about all the other stuff he did previous to that. They forget about, I think, 4 out of 5 years.
Who didn't get outplayed by Hakeem Olajuwon?
I mean, what we doing, right?
And let's be honest, who would Hakeem Olajuwon not outplay today?
It's not many guys. Right. It's not many guys that I'm looking at in the league today that I could say would outplay Hakeem Olajuwon at his peak power.
Shaq might be the most dominant, but I think Hakeem Olajuwon gave him a pretty good run for his money, considering he was giving up about 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
So I just want to let you know we're at the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know who the last one's going to be. As of right now, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is 8-3 for the Dream Team. And for this last one, obviously, it is 39-year-old.
Remember what we're doing, guys, because
Tone
tried to put me in a trap. That's what Tone tried to do. Okay, Tone tried. I saw the bear trap. Right, I'm looking right at the bear trap. It's right there, and Tone wants me to step on the bear trap. That's what he wants me to do, and it's not happening. So, like you just mentioned, Tone, when you talked about Jordan, when you talked about Charles in '92 against Jason Tatum, at his peak powers, right? At his peak powers, this dude right here, this dude at his peak powers, 1992 Jordan, at his peak powers is better than 39-year-old than this guy.
Because that's like the best version, right?
Yes.
Would we agree? Okay.
That's the best version of him. And this is 39-year-old him. This guy over here is better than this guy. He was way more athletic. He had a money mid-range game. He actually added the long ball to his game. His box work was incredible. Not only was his box work incredible, as a defender, he was even better as a defender than he was in the past because he was a lot smarter. He could distribute even more. I think the fact that he played on this dream team and playing with Magic, I think that helped him see the game I think that helped him see the game way different. James, don't get me wrong. James at this age, this advanced age, he's a lot smarter. I won't argue that. James is a lot smarter. He's a lot craftier. But Jordan in 1992,
significantly better three-point shooter. But
100%.
Let's not forget, in 1992, for those that don't know, do you know what he shot from the three-point line that season?
I want to say like 29%, something like that.
38.6%. He was shooting. Now, for those days, he was shooting a lot. He was shooting over 2 a game, and he shot basically 39% from 3. Right. So he was actually knocking down the 3 ball that season as well. And let's not forget, he came off an NBA Finals in 91, where he's the last person to average over 10 assists a game. He's the last one to average that in the NBA Finals.
Nobody did that since he did that.
No one's done that. LeBron had 10 on the button. That's why I say he's the first.
Well, he averaged 11. I think he averaged 11 against the Lakers in 91.
11.5 against the Lakers. Yeah,
in 91.
In 91, and then like I said, in 92, he averaged 39. That's all I'm saying. It's always close, but it's 39 versus the best version. It's not like if we were talking 2013 James, it's probably a different conversation. But
way better.
But yeah, we're going with Mike. So I will recap them quickly just for the record. I think I agreed with all of us. 9-3, please. I sent the link. It's out there. We will quickly recap. We had Magic over Steph.
Yep.
Drex over Ant. Bam over Christian Laettner.
Over the college kid.
Joel Embiid over Patrick Ewing.
I'll take Joel Embiid over Ewing.
Booker over Broken Bird.
Yeah, Bird was broke.
Pippen over White.
Yep.
Stockton over Halliburton. In a debate, Chris Mullin over Drew Holiday. Karl Malone over Kevin Durant. Karl Malone again at his hot peak powers. Peak power Chuck, again the absolute best Chuck, over Jason Tatum. David Robinson over Anthony Davis, and Michael Jordan over LeBron James. It broke down 9-3 Dream Team.
Tone, also one of the things that people get disillusioned by is you're under the impression that I have to play the game the way you play it. So the fact that Steph Curry is shooting the long ball, the fact that Kevin Durant shoots the long ball, right? The fact that James shoots the long ball, right? The fact that these guys shoot the long ball, that means that I have to play like that. No, I don't. No, I do not have to play like that. I do have long ball shooters. I got Bird who can shoot the long ball. I got Chris Mullin who can shoot the long ball. Even Jordan who can shoot the long ball, right? I do have that.
Especially that season, yeah.
Right. But I don't have to play like that. If you look at this team in the Olympics, one of the advantages that the 92 Dream Team has, Magic Johnson was fantastic at speeding up the game. I think that this is one, if I look at this group, I think this is one of the worst transition defensive Olympic teams I've seen in a long time. So if I got Scottie Pippen on one wing, Drex on another wing, if I got Malone running, and if I got David Robinson running, I think that that's going to be a huge advantage for Team USA off the strength that I got Magic at the helm, getting all of these guys involved, whether he's going downhill and getting to the rim and scoring, or he's dishing it off to whether it's Bird on the wing, whether it's Scottie Pippen finishing at the rim, whether it's Malone finishing at the rim. You can take advantage of this team's transition game. You can definitely take advantage of their transition defense. Add that to the fact, Tone, that them, in terms of how big Team USA is underneath, so as good as Bam is, right? As good as Bam is as a defender, I like my chances. I mean, I think Charles can handle himself against Bam. I mean, if he could handle, and Horace Grant was one of the better post defenders in the league at that time. He was an all-league defender, and Charles dominated him. He did the same thing when they played against the Spurs. He handled himself against David Robinson. So if he can handle himself against those guys, I think he can handle himself against Bam. So if we're talking about guys in the post, right? We're talking about Patrick Ewing. Even though I feel like Joel Embiid is better in terms of talent and the stuff that he can do, whether it's knocking down the mid-range, handling the basketball, pulling Ewing away from the basket, and getting Ewing outside, I think that could be a detriment to Ewing. But I also think that Ewing on the block, I think that he can hold his own against Joel Embiid. So this thing wouldn't be a wash. On top of all of that, how hard those guys go and the attitude that they have playing against these guys, I think it would be way different. I do.
It's interesting because we have these conversations, and what I'm about to say is true, but it's not as true as you think it is. So the conversation is, well, the world is caught up to the USA in terms of, basketball. There's there's better world players than there's ever been, and that is true. There's more NBA players on these European teams than ever before, and that is true. But that's also a blessing and a curse.
Why?
I'll tell you why. It's a great question. Why? So, one, has the world gotten better? Yeah, 100%. And it's because, in large part, to the 92 Dream Team, right?
Sure.
They went out and did it, and a bunch of more people got into basketball. And I think the number, and I've seen the number from anywhere from 50 to 65 players on these teams that are in the Olympics this year, international players, play in the NBA versus 9, 10, 5. I keep hearing, again, different numbers as well back then. However, we're forgetting, for example, in 92, Yugoslavia, for example, had Dino Raja, Drazen Petrovic, Toni Kukoc. All three of those guys were really good in the NBA.
Yep.
A couple of those guys probably make Team USA if they're American players. They were that good.
Right.
But Toni Kukoc and Dino Raja, I don't think at that time were in the NBA. They eventually do play in the NBA. Arvydas Sabonis, again, I don't think he may have been, but again, older. But there's more when you look at it.
I think they had to split at that time with Yugoslavia.
Yeah, I always say you got to look at, just because they don't play in the NBA, there was also a stigma against some of those players that, they're soft or this or that. They couldn't make it here, so they didn't bring them over, right? So it doesn't mean that they didn't have NBA talented players. So why I say it's a blessing and a curse. What makes a better team? All of those European players or wherever world players playing with their national team all year round and playing with their host teams where they're a cohesive unit, and they're playing by FIBA rules, or them playing in the NBA away from all their national teammates, not becoming a cohesive unit by NBA rules, and then having to flip back to FIBA rules and trying to fit into those teams. So from a talent perspective, 100% it's gotten better, but that necessarily mean the team has gotten better? I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just saying there's a question mark, because maybe they're not as right. Like, they play together all year round. A team that plays together all year round is going to be better than a team that's just thrown together. I think we all agree on that. Here's the other thing, and again, let me preface it by saying the world has gotten better. Right, 5 out of the top 7 players are not from the U.S.
Sure.
However, go down every single team, and I did this on Sunday, so I know top of mind, but go down every single team in, like, whether it's Canada, Australia, Serbia, Germany. Although the players are better and more of them play in the NBA, how many of them would crack the USA roster? And I guarantee you there isn't a team that want more than 2 crack the USA roster.
Like Lithuania.
Pick any team and
Croatia.
Tell me more than 2 players that would crack. And my point to that is, and again, I put team over talent, but Team USA is still by far the most talented team.
Sure.
Not the best team by far, but the most talented team by far. And I want to make that distinction. Can you find a team that there's more than 2? Canada, for example, has 8 NBA players on it. Other than SGA and maybe Murray, who makes Team USA?
Well, rewind that. So if SGA makes Team USA, who comes off the crew? Halliburton
or Derek White.
Or Drew Holiday. Okay. So
Drew Holiday, yeah.
Okay, I can give you that. That's as far as I'm going, because I don't think anybody else off a team
okay, right? Dwight Powell.
Canada. No.
Lou Dort. I love those guys. Dylan Brooks. They're not knocking anybody else. Okay. France. Wemby,
Wemby.
Gobert.
Yes. Wemby, I think Wemby would get serious consideration. Serious
I
consideration.
think so too, but they'll probably he's young. He'll get the next one.
Yes.
But even then, it's those two, right? Is there anybody else from France?
No. Nobody else off that France squad.
Germany, you've got
Nobody.
Wagner,
Dennis
Wagner,
Schroeder, Dice.
Schroeder?
None
Any
of
of
them
those?
dudes. None of them dudes go.
Jokic on Jokic's team. You got
Serbia.
Serbia's got Jokic, Jovic,
Mm-hmm.
and Nikola Jokic makes the team.
That's it. Joker.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
So
it.
we went down team by team. I went through the rosters and I read them out on Sunday. There wasn't a team that we can find that
Greece
more than
got
two.
Giannis. That's it. Greece has Giannis.
And
Serbia has. Yes. Which,
So-
by the way, Tone, we actually had a conversation about this earlier, and I want to get back. I want to get right back to what you was talking about. I didn't realize this until I actually heard it, that Thanasis being around Giannis, how much that affects Giannis when he's not around him. That's an actual thing. I didn't know it was a thing, but it's an actual thing where Giannis, when Thanasis isn't around, it affects him. Like, where's Giannis? He needs him around. So
You're saying Giannis needs Thanasis around him?
yes, he does.
Oh, really?
I've
Does he
actually
play worse?
man. So the story that I heard, the way I heard it was this was during the 21 finals. Thanasis ends up getting COVID, so he was away from the crew. Giannis the whole time is like, "Where's my brother? Where's my brother?" And it's clearly affecting his game. Now you know that we all know that you're supposed to. It's supposed to be I think it's a 14-day quarantine. He was back in like 2 or 3 days. With him being back in like he was back in like 2 or 3 days, and Giannis was right back to doing what he does. The whole time he was asking, "Yo, where's my brother at? What's going on with my brother? Where's my brother at?" And it affected his game. When they were on the road, he was even when Thanasis was there, he couldn't function without him. Like, where's my brother at? Where's my brother? So Thanasis,
I did not know that. That's not a good thing.
yeah. So with that being said, and I got an interesting point brought to me today, which does make a lot of sense, because if you think about Thanasis as a player, so okay, Tone, he's not, a guy off the couch. Like, he was playing, he's older than Giannis, number one.
Yeah.
With him being older than Giannis, he played pro basketball. I think he got drafted by the Knicks.
He did.
Giannis this season, if I'm not mistaken, I think Giannis is on the books for $45 million. So essentially what you're getting, because Thanasis is on the books for $2 million. So Giannis is on the books for $45 million. Thanasis is on the books for $2 million. And Thanasis is necessary. So essentially you're getting Giannis for $47 million. Would you do that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who wouldn't do that. That was a real interesting point that was brought to me today. And I was like, man,
I'm
I didn't think about
100%
that.
doing it. It's 100% nepotism and it's 100% fine.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it. Like,
100%.
everyone thinks like we say nepotism like it's a bad thing. No,
It's
No.
not. No, it's not. Mm-mm.
it's not.
It
If my dad owned a team and he drafted me, all good. All
Now,
good.
don't get me wrong, Tone. Nepotism and throughout history has been bad for Black people. In a lot of instances, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to getting into schools, when it comes to opportunities, and not just opportunities, nepotism has actually forced Black people into poverty. It's actually had Black people killed because of nepotism, things like that. Nepotism has not always been a good thing for Black people. However, if I am in a position, I play pro basketball in the NBA, and I have an opportunity. My son is 19 years younger than me, and I'm still one of the better players in the game. If I have an opportunity to get my son on the crew, why am I not? Not even my son. Let's take my son off the table, Tone. If I have an opportunity to get family on the crew, why am I not doing that? Why would I not do that?
If you have the opportunity, I think you answered your why it hasn't happened is because it hasn't had the opportunity.
Right.
If you have the opportunity, that's the way I keep saying this, right? That you might not like it, but that is the way the world works.
100%
Like it is. It's that's just how it's always been. right? Like, there's a, like, every time there's a saying and people are like, I don't, there's a reason things are saying. So there's a reason that things are sayings, excuse me. So the reason that says it's not who you know, right? Or it's not how much you know, it's who you know.
Right.
Well, there's a reason people say that. It's because there's at least an ounce of truth to it. So yeah, and I get all the other stuff, but I also think there are certain communities, there are certain people who see that they have the opportunity to do it, and they do it. They take advantage of it, and there's others that don't, right? Like, for example, and I'm just going to use a basketball example because it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Jordan had a pretty good college career at Florida or Southern Florida, Central Florida, wherever he was.
I think he made the all league team, Tom, if I'm not mistaken.
Jordan could easily have had drafted him because he had the power to draft him, or put in a word to get him drafted. If he easily could have done that, he didn't. Right? And remember, I've said this to you before. I'm not knocking James for pushing for Bronny. I feel bad for Bronny because he's being put in a very difficult position because everyone's saying the only reason he got drafted is because of his dad, and he's not ready, right? I think more so he's not ready. If
I'm being honest, Tone, this is exactly this is on James, and this is on James off the strength that this is about him and him only.
Yeah.
And I've said that I've said this to you in the past, and I still stand on it. If he would have told his boy to go back to school, he'd have went back to school. I don't think that that's a question in my mind. If he would have said to him, I don't think you're ready. This isn't about money. I think the best position that you could be in right now is to go back to school. This is the school you're going to, and I'm going to be monitoring it. I'm going to make sure that, you get treated right. Go back to school. He would have went back to school.
I agree with that 100%.
100% went back to school.
I just want to say quickly, because we're got about 10, 12 minutes left. Yep. For those of you that are going to stay up, right after this is the Hoopstorians, and they have their interview one-on-one with Rudy Tomjanovich. For those that don't know, legendary basketball player, Hall of Fame coach, head coach of the Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon, that won the back-to-back championships in the 90s. They did I think it's part one of two, because it went an hour and 20 minutes. So we're going to do the first 40 minutes this week, the next 40 minutes next week. So Rudy T, never underestimate the heart of a champion. Rudy Tomjanovich will be in the building right after this on the Hoopstorians. AAA is joining us.
What up?
Yo, what up, fellas? What's going on?
What's going on, brother?
Oh man, same fight, different round.
All right.
That's it. Hey,
it's different in the 8th round than it is in the 3rd. My ribs don't hurt as bad in the 3rd than they do in the 8th, though.
Yeah, and that's you hope that second win come by the 8th round. You hope
it has to, otherwise I ain't gonna hold up. I'm not.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. Hey, but I was listening to y'all list. I don't know why, and I said this in another chat Fluent was in, but Dennis Schroeder turns into prime Steve Nash when it comes
to hell in the Olympics, don't he?
Yo, word is born. I never seen nothing like it before. I take him over Halliburton. If you give me Olympic basketball Schroeder, I might take him over Halliburton.
There are certain players. There's certain players. There's certain, like Evan Fournier for France. I think that's
he's an all-star.
There's certain players that, when given the opportunity, when playing for their country, when it's a short, right? Don't fall for the fool's gold and think they can translate it into an 82-game season. But when it's a short stint like that, they turn into something different. But we've seen that a lot of players, shorter,
like bubble, right?
We saw Fournier, like I said, you saw. I always love bringing him up. Jeremy Lin for a couple of weeks in the NBA. Like, you can go on short sprints.
AAA, you figure the like where we are right now, because I remember watching Team USA. If you never watched the NBA and you saw Lendell, who plays for Phoenix, if that's the first time you've seen him, which is in the exhibition, you'll be like, yo, why this dude ain't in the NBA? He's super nice.
Yes.
He barely plays in Phoenix. And when he does play in Phoenix, he's not nearly as effective, which goes back to the original logic that the international game is way different.
And look, that's what I was following up what y'all was saying about I think that's the reason why U.S. is struggling now, because I think they're playing that older basketball game, that 90s mid-range game we talk about. Like you said, it's a little bit tighter because the three-point line is in. You can have somebody sagging in the middle.
Yeah.
We've gotten so far away from that now it's kind of like we're shocked when we see it, because you're not used to that guy sitting in the paint, the entire game. You're not used to the court being that small anymore. Excuse me. So the things that benefit Steph Curry, it might not work as well. I'm sorry, because that court is smaller. It's different spacing out there.
And they still, if you notice, right, they still play a very inside out. Like everybody's post. I said it earlier, right? Everyone's dropping in the post. Everybody. Like I don't care if it's a 6-foot guard, a 7-foot center. They all have a post game, and they kick and they play out of it, and it's just different. And do they have enough time by the Olympics to adjust to it?
Adjust, just like you said, that short period. Can we adjust to it fast enough with the players getting that much better? Can we adjust quick enough?
Yeah.
And yes, winning close games is struggling when it's no offense, South Sudan.
Up y'all, come on, man.
Come on, we're talking.
Come on, up y'all. We should not be in a dogfight with South Sudan.
We were comparing the '92 Dream Team to this Team USA. They're not the Dream Team, but like, would the '92 Dream Team struggle with South Sudan?
Now, and remember, here's the difference, Tone. Here's the difference, Tone. Okay, sure, the world hadn't seen that collection of talent together.
Sure.
Okay, they had not, and to your point, the world has caught up. They're more talented.
Coach Mo yesterday did bring up another point too. Coach Mo brought up a very good point last night as well. He said they're not scared. Like in '92, they were fans. They were signing autographs. They are not scared of them anymore because most of them play in the NBA against them, and they see them night in and night out. So there isn't that awe and fear anymore either.
If you think about the South Sudan team, I mean, first of all, they're a bunch of kids. By the way, one of the guys on that team is going to Duke with Cooper Flagg next year. So that's
and FYI, I know he's trying to get clicks, but Gilbert was way
out of line.
Way out of line.
100% was out of line with that.
Yeah, it wasn't anything funny about it. Wasn't anything funny about that at all.
It wasn't.
I get what he's trying to do. Like I try to do some of that too every once in a while.
I don't.
I get what he's trying to do by trying to get clicks and stuff. I get, but this in particular
that wasn't
was
funny.
way off. Yeah,
that wasn't funny at all. No, it wasn't. And like I said, Tone, I feel like with the world being more talented. Well, the last I checked, it isn't 1982 anymore. So the American player has gotten better too. So it's not like
no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about that.
Wait, I'm gonna forget my point. I want to ask y'all. That's my thing. This kind of. It goes into the Jordan LeBron debate, or this is one of the ways I see it. I guess I frame it. Sometimes I don't care how good the world got. It's who we have. I don't care if they got 100 times better. Sometimes that's what it just comes down to. We have this player and y'all don't. I don't care how much better you got. I don't care if you got 12 players that can all jump in 5-5. Sure. We got something y'all don't have. Because I think most games, Chill, they come, and I think you could agree with this. Most basketball games, they're about, it's a 3-point game with 5 minutes left most of the time, right? They always come down to like the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Right.
But those superstars, the ones that we talk about, the LeBrons, the Currys, that's when they're supposed to shine. Right. And I don't care how good the other team got, as long as we got those guys and they do what they're supposed to do in those last 3 minutes, I think we could win. But I don't know if we have that player.
And on top of that, if you look at from a talent aspect, there's a lot of times when you come into games and go, yo, we just better than y'all.
Yeah, that's
no matter what y'all have.
I don't care how many wins you got.
I want to address this really fast because I addressed it 5 minutes ago, but the 92 Dream Team played, remember I said there's a bunch of different numbers, 6 NBA players, the Olympic team played 60. All right, let me tell you. One, we've already proven that no more than 2 on any of those teams could crack the Team USA roster, so that already debunks everything you're saying. But also, you want to use the logic that the 90s were watered down because all of the expansion teams and there was 90 new players. Well, yeah, there's been 2 more teams added since then too. And so, of course, there's more international NBA players because there's 100 more spots.
Oh, and by the way, Tone, there's going to be 2 more teams coming into the league.
Which means 2 more teams. That's another 50 new.
There you go.
Who they're going to say stats are watered down in, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
You can't use the argument on one and not the other.
Nah. Hey, AAA, good to talk to you, brother.
Yeah. Yo, y'all have a good one, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Whew. All right. So, Are you? Are you? What are you doing after this? Are you gonna be watching the Hoop Historians?
I'm gonna peek my head in to see what's going on with it. I'm
gonna watch that too. I had to edit it a little bit for Tony Styles and the boys there, but check out the Hoop Historians. It's coming up next with Rudy Tomjanovich. Man, they get some Bob McAdoo,
incredible
Bob Pettit. Now
just so y'all know, Tona hit me in AJ. We got Bob Dandridge on. What are you talking about? Like AJ, on Tuesday we got Sidney Moncrief coming through. What's happening right now? I mean, this is crazy that this ends up happening. They get some of the best, yo. They get some of the best, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there for this one with Rudy T.
Well, Rudy T. In our defense, so just so you go watch it, because Tony does a great job interviewing. Tony, by the way, does so much research. Like every time, I've told you this before, everybody he interviews goes, "How did you know that? How did you know that?" So he does a great job of finding out stuff and asking him really good questions. We tried to jump on, but Rudy's obviously very busy. He had to reschedule twice, and we couldn't make the third one. So I'm going to be watching. It's going to be good to sit and watch this. Yes, save my voice for once. So go check that out. But after you do that, next week you're going to come here, and until then,
put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. Call your father too. Yep. Definitely call
I went and saw them today.
Did you see Dad? Yes, definitely call Dad. Absolutely do that. So we will see you guys soon. But until then, take it light, but take it.
It was hot, so I went and swam in their pool.